Thank you so much for being with us tonight, ladies. And yeah, let's begin.
Thank you, Zaika. I'm happy to be with the HerCentury the second time. Today, we are going to address the topic of value, pay peanuts, get monkeys. That's why I just took a very provocative slogan for this session. Going back to, I'm building on to one block to the next with this micro learning sessions. So without self-confidence, certainly the value building or talking about your value will not be possible. So that is why, and after having received some feedback from you guys, from Zaikal, I'd like to repeat the 6 important points of last time. So what does it take to be confident? And believe me or not, I prepare for every session for HerCentury. How do I put my thoughts together? So number 1, we said last time that challenging the status quo is extremely important. Not what you have only, let it be certificates, let it be the touchable values. We have to regularly take a look into ourselves by taking a look, what do we have or what I have to offer. Certainly I can offer a degree, certainly I can offer certain languages. These are skills you can learn all over your life. However, what is very important is to concentrate on what kind of person I am. How do I treat people? What do I have to offer to this world? If you're a very fast person working on things, and if you're a person, excuse me, just a second. If you're a person who is regularly thinking about how can I do better for the others, then you are in the haves part of emotional values about your personality, you're actually pointing. Number 2, I said, is the emotional conflicts that we have. So problems are not emotional, but conflicts are. And what are your emotional conflicts in yourself? Identify them. Is it, I'm not good enough? Topic which I explained last time. Shame is a found emotion by mankind. So identify your emotional conflicts, how you're pulling yourself, what kind of self-talk you run with yourself, and try to change it. Laudable relationships was the number 4 I mentioned last time, namely working on yourself all over your life, innerly and outerly, is all fine. However, we are social animals, so we need to be connected. Our brain develops best when we are connected with each other. That's why COVID-19 is a terrible thing for all of us. Basically, we were isolated from the social life. So our brain needs other brains to develop. That is why we have to be in touch with those we like. In developing self-confidence, why I mentioned the laudable relationships is that have friends who are lawyers, have friends who are teachers, have friends who are consultants, who have friends who are counselors, who understand psychology, pedagogy, that they can give you honest feedback. It's important to have those kind of friends who you can learn from, rather than those who you stick with and who you share the same opinion with. There's very little room to grow, for growth in that case. 2 weeks ago, I had actually last week on Thursday, you guys didn't see it, but I had a terrible eye problem. One of the veins basically exploded overnight for some reason, and I could call a doctor friend of mine at 6:30 in the morning and send her a WhatsApp photo, and she could tell me what to do in that situation. So this is what I mean with having laudable relationships, that also kicks your self-confidence, because you feel I'm not alone. And for the person who I am, People are ready to pick up the phone at 6:30. People are ready to help me whenever I need. For self-confidence, we also have to learn also about the value finding to ask for help. And I also mentioned number 5 was showing vulnerability, asking for help. This is what I mentioned. Is extremely important, and you will one of a sudden see how many people are basically ready to help you. And number 6, I mentioned, ladies, we've got this inner bottom and we can activate it. What do I mean with this? I told you a story about this, that a lady who was willing to have children all over her life, but she was behaving like a child herself. So the perception of her boyfriend of her was, hey, I'm together with a child, why should I have children? However, when I asked her to just activate her inner bottom to I'm an attractive, giving, wonderful woman button, and that she only feels like it with every gesture, with every walk, every step that she takes till the house, and then from that moment on, she feels like a woman, not like a child. Well, this basically worked. After half a year, she was pregnant, and I think 1 year later they got married. So as you can see, we are not able to activate this inner bottom, and there I go to the values of the talk today. When talking about values, we have to activate for our self-confidence as well our inner bottom. Before you go to an interview, before you have a negotiation, before you have an unpleasant or pleasant negotiation, it doesn't matter what is it about, it's extremely important to have visualized it before. So night before, actually a week before, you should know what you're gonna wear. You must have dreamed, you must have imagined it. You able to see it with your inner eye when you close your eyes that you're in that room with those people, what you're wearing, how your gaze is, what your word selection is. You should be able to visualize these things. It's what did we do until recently? We just wrote our argumentations just like facts. And this is I'm gonna get to it in a moment. And then there is no value you can talk about. So this is the era term we all made. We talked about emotions, we talked about successes, we talked about challenges in interviews, in negotiations without any emotion, just like a robot. We spent that, we did this, etc., without any emotions. And this is exactly the era term of the last decades. It is okay to be emotional. It is okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to argue with your emotional hurt rather than, as we heard, especially in Germany, with ZDF, Zahlen, Daten, Fakten, facts. We try to argue and try to introduce our value as a woman, as a human to the other party or to the person across us. That's not the way to go. Talking about values, number 1, stop talking like a man. So let's just take one situation with a job interview or getting to know somebody, right? So and we take this warm-ups part of the job interview, or you're asking for a salary, you would like to ask for a salary rise, it's annual appraisal with your boss, and you talk about yourself and your successes with facts, just like men do. It doesn't work that way. It definitely do not work that way. You should be talking about your emotions, what your successes, and how people felt about it. So as a manager, if you have personnel responsibility, as a person who doesn't have any personnel responsibility, but who is an assistant working in the background, making and carrying the load of the company in so many ways, when talking about your value, do not say chef or boss or whoever the decision maker is. I saved you X thousand euros, whatever. No. Mention that, This is, without the facts, the world, the thing, your argumentation doesn't get a balance. However, when you talk about when we save this X thousand euros, or when we save this headcounts for our company, it was rather difficult to pull the strings together. People were insecure, people felt threatened of the situations. However, I made it, my team made it, we made it to pull the people moral-wise on a certain level. These are the things that makes or convinces the people. So I see in interviews or when I do assessments with top executives, female, most of the time, believe me, they're sitting in front of me just like a man. Oh, well, like, oh, tell me what your successes, what kind of challenges have you coped in the last years? She doesn't have any sparks in her eyes, really dry, so just like cold eyes. Well, I did a marketing action or marketing campaign 2 years ago. And well, it was very successful. It was online on ZDF and on RTL and whatnot. So like this. Then you're just asking, so like, where are the sparks in your eyes when you're talking about this very success? How you got there? What's the story? So getting there, talking about values, talking about your value, you have to learn storytelling. So we copied men years long. Stick to the facts. So we stick to the facts just like men. Imitating men will not take us to where we deserve, ladies. Okay? So this I understood a couple of years ago. So imitating boys will not solve any issues. We have to accept our nature. Getting there, skill sets. You can work on your skill sets if you would like to talk about your values. As mentioned, storytelling. If you feel, hey, I need some support in rhetoric, I need some support dealing with stage fright, get the support. It doesn't have to be a professional, costly person. It can also be an honest friend. There are also today lots of learning and reading material on stage fright, very practical rhetoric tips and hints. So read it and try to say, if somebody just said, could I possibly have a cup of tea? I'm just saying right now, the classic rhetoric thing. If this is too not you like, then try to formulate this sentence in your words. May I have, or could I please have, etc. So learn to use the rhetoric, not like a parrot copying and pasting to your, and then serving it. Just observe the knowledge and then give it away with your style. This information must have been filtered through you, through your personality, through your thoughts to the counterpart. It's extremely important. That's what we call authenticity in this case. I'd like to tell another wonderful story. Not long ago, just last year, I was engaged in a project when a company owner, 150 employees, he said, well, I haven't done anything in the last years for my employees, for my team. So since the beginning, we've got a very, very stable team, management team especially, but I feel we could be better. So I got into this company. There was no personnel, head of personnel or something like that. And I analyzed everyone. That was mainly, actually only male in the team, in the management team. And I asked the owner of the company, who is doing the personnel in your company? He told me, he looked at me and said, I do this. I said, 150 employees and you do the personnel. And well, in that visit, the owner of the company asked me to also have a look at his daughter, who was 28, 27 years old, doing small jobs in the company and, taking a look at the post and simple administrative work. This girl was such a smart woman. I mean, girl, 27-year-old young lady. I spoke to her 5 minutes, and on the 6th minute, I knew that this is the person we were looking for. All over her life, her father unconsciously, and she herself, prepared her for this position. She was very good at English. She could speak English without any accent, basically. Her father sent her to the best coaches and trainers in this country, in Germany. She took rhetoric courses, she took personality development courses, etc. And she was there in that company just doing post work and, routine administrative work. So anyways, after my assessments, this young lady has become the head of personnel of 150 people. It's a challenging job. She had no work experience whatsoever, and I had the task to accompany her for the first year, structuring HR, structuring interviews, structuring the values, company values, and she is basically, with her qualities, the best diplomat one could have between the owner of the company, with the boss, and the rest of the employees. So believe in your skill sets as well. When you go to a course, English course, a Japanese course, I don't know, Russian course, when you learn skill sets, do not think, oh, I'm not going to use it anywhere. Believe in it, visualize it regularly, that you're going to use these skill sets. The time hasn't come yet. It's also important for a self-confidence and talking about your value to have this basic trust to your life and to the coincidences. So if you are biting into something, maybe you don't even know this is something that you really want, maybe your mother told you to do, or your father or some people influence you to do something that you believe that you want it, check that if you really want it. I wanted to mention this very important thing about values as well. Remember, your thoughts make your personality. So if you think most of the time, I'm not good enough and I'm not worth it, people will perceive you that way, as simple as that. So a correct mindset, positive affirmations, we just know it's coming out of our ears, and all social media, positive affirmations work, positive thinking works. Well, it does. Why? Because we know that brain can create new neural paths, new thoughts, can change your personality upside down if you want it. You only have to regularly practice to think differently and to talk about your value. When you're just thinking, if this is a thought, that you just take a look at this, you think about something and say, I'm not good enough. So this is the way you take a look. And I would like you to, from now on, to take a look at the things differently and then say, okay, this is the usual thought, I'm not good enough. Then take that thought, bring it to the other hand, and take a look at this truth from this perspective, from that perspective. And if you still cannot see that you're not valuable and good enough, and everybody is good enough for something and you know it, then do something about it. Change your thoughts so you can talk about your value. What does values, how value is created? Value is created when you start thinking about these things, when you just start thinking about different thoughts every day. An average human being has 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts every day. So when you take from yesterday, from 60,000 or 70,000 thoughts, when you just take 90% of the thoughts from yesterday, the same thoughts to today, what do? You're just actually making your brain and body to think and live in the past, because every thought is connected to certain chemicals that is released in your body. So you're conditioning then yourself to this hamster rat, right? So then you're just running in the same thoughts all the time, and you expect that something is going to change. So personality death happens when you start thinking differently regularly. In the When we develop, I just give this example all the time, right? So our thoughts are limited, they're not as thin. So when something goes wrong, a little wind, then this thing basically falls down. The deeper we think, the more often we take a look or we exercise looking at the things differently, we come to different ideas to talk about our value. So then your depth basically gets thicker. So then another wind comes, when the wind comes, then it's going to be more difficult, as you can see, to basically make you fall. So important when developing your value. Your value develops the more you think, and the more you think differently regularly, stepping out of your comfort zone. Right, skill sets as mentioned, then expecting, yes. Another mistake we all make is expecting too much. And we are again thinking like men, right? Or a female most of the time too. We think, okay, they're gonna see the work that I'm doing. No. Expectations, then you're expecting that other people see what you're doing and what you're bringing to the company, to the team. Well, you bet it's not going to happen. We're all too busy, as you all know. We need to be communicated about our successes. So when you just talk about your own success regularly, the problem is that people just start thinking about, oh God, you know, she's so full of herself or he's so full of herself. It's important to get others, your team members, your boss, also opinion makers in every company. Maybe they're not particularly in a leading position, but there are people everybody loves, everybody respects, everybody listens to what they have to say. Well, those people, you can ask those people to give a nice word for you to the boss, or give a, talk about this. Just like we're all doing it, consultants, HerCentury, please like us, etc. Then you have to be able to communicate this need and importance of it to the people who can help you. Ask for help when you need it. I'm just repeating it. Ask for help when you need it, and ask for support. Others talking about your good work is also very important. You don't have to just say, hey, can you just say good word about me? You can just basically say, I would really appreciate if you could give a good word about this project, about this success. Besides me, I will do it myself in the presentation, but it's not the same. When you just say it, maybe it's just going to reach where it has to reach. Stay humble. Entitlement is another problem of our times, as you know. Do not feel entitled. Just because you speak English and you can do Excel and blah, 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 doesn't make you more valuable than the others. Just because you've got MBA and some more other certifications, maybe not like PhDs or whatnot, doesn't make you better than the other. There are so many people who've got MBAs, there are so many people who've got PhDs, there are so many people who can do Excel and whatnot. These are all skill sets, and our brain can learn anything, depending on our age, in about 66 days. By training 20 minutes. So I'm going to talk about that in the session 4, so stay tuned. Neuroplasticity is not a hocus pocus, it's a science, and it's there. We can change ourselves if we want to in 66 days, as mentioned. So what makes us valuable is our successes, about how we achieve things. People would like to hear stories about how you made something work. When it took waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and driving 2,000 kilometers weekly, then just say, well, it was a tough time, but me and my team made it, or I made it. And if it's a personal challenge for you, just say, that project was extremely challenging indeed. Well, it cost me a little bit private time and family time. I was traveling 3 times a week and away from home, etc. Mention these kind of things so that your counterpart can hear, wow, this person is ready to go extra miles. Just do not bring yourself to figures, to KPIs only. This is not a measure. Your measure is what kind of extra miles you went to get somewhere, right? So what kind of resilience, what kind of power you had within you. So depending on the stress and challenges, you and your team made it. So you can just say as well, it was a challenging thing. Oh my God. Oh, I remember I called almost every night, every team member of mine after dinner time. Talk about these things that they mention your true value. So you can just say, well, I speak 3 languages and I can do SAP, blah, blah, blah. My value is X thousand euros. It doesn't work. These stories, what makes you or what made you defines your value. Definitely. And then certainly by this way, when you just basically work on or within the uncomfortable situations, then you also just automatically build self-confidence. People just, there's a wonderful saying, it just says, well, Evelyn, why are you taking always the hard way? People ask me all the time, right? So, and then I just sometimes took a look because I read it somewhere, it's not my word. I said, why do you assume that I see 2 ways? So I always take the hard way. So gut feeling is extremely important. Do not try to jump on anything that shines like a gold. But anyways, your gut feeling, so-called EQ, is just going to basically give you signals about this. There we go. I tell you another wonderful story. I had again, female. She left a world-leading company, and she was earning about like 160,000 euros, 150,000 euros per year. And she said, I want to play in the boys league. I want to have 260 per year. I'm worth it. Okay. So, however, all the way down, I, worked on her skill sets, how she can just work on her storytelling, etc. She left the company, went to another company, and she made her deal, 280,000 euros plus benefits. It was a brilliant job. Because she went to this job to any price, and she didn't really check if she can really work with these people. Her only argumentation was money, and 4 weeks later, she was taken out. Why? Because just money as a motivation and not being able to reflect the person who you are, and especially this chemistry, you have to respect that. If you have an interview with someone, and the second interview or whatnot, you just go normally in Germany or in many countries, you just do 2 steps. If you have a funny feeling, believe me and trust me that funny feeling that you have is right. So all these argumentations that, your left hemisphere, your logical part is saying, oh, they're giving you all the money, that could just do this. Then if you just listen to your left hemisphere and in your logical part, then you have to just be also tough enough to stay for a defined time. So, and or don't take the job only for the materialistic reasons. Because if this doesn't work, this only is going to make you crazy. So it's the heart and brain coherence I'm going to talk about. This number 4 session with you all. Right. Management and leader or values. As said, another lady, CFO of a company, as a world group, and she told me, I was in a coaching just a couple of weeks ago, and then she just told me, well, Evelyn, this and that employees, male, they are all coming to the meetings too late, and I just don't like this very much. And then I just asked her, okay, I said, why don't you like it? Yeah, because it's not respectful. I said, well, I said, Ms. X, your argumenting like a man. I said, men are offended when somebody coming to the meeting because one has to respect men, you know, how it is. I said, why are you not talking about it? Just saying this FBI principle last time I mentioned, say that when you came to the meeting the other day late, it made me feel like I can't trust you. Talk about the impact. Feeling, behavior, impact. So put your feelings like this toward this person. And I said, it's heavier than using the boss card just like a man and say, well, I am the boss, I'm the CFO of this company, and I have the right to get the people, my 7 reporters, 4 of them are male, they all have to be aligned when I tell them, whoop, jump. It doesn't work that way. On the other hand, I mean, I also just said it to her, it's not modern today to be offended when somebody is 1 or 2 up to 5 minutes late or something like this. If they're nicely apologizing and there's a good reason for it, you know, do not put it in the scale of, oh, I'm not respected, etc. It's not modern anymore. And do not make the people, you know, or do not weigh the people with their punctuality. This is also a total uncommon thing. It's not modern, it's not female-like. Back to that lady, I said, look, you know, your job is, you understood how this guy is, right? You understood how that guy is, right? You understood how this lady is ticking, yeah, right? Right. I said, why are you expecting them to just behave on the aligned manner? I said, your EQ as a female, as good as it is, had identified, oh, Sandy ticks like this, Mandy ticks like this, and it ticks like this. I said, your job is to lead these people, to interact with these people, to talk with them in the way they need. Then you are valuable for that company. Then you are inexpendable for that company. Not because you just optimize a couple of Excel sheets and spreadsheets as a CFO position. It's very easy to just actually manipulate numbers, we all know. And so your value is your personality. And our lifetime job is to work on our value. That means to become a better person in all means. It's not about, you know, having good thoughts only. Oh, I would like to become a great person. Great person means good morning, good afternoon interaction, sparks in your eyes when you're speaking to people, having common sense, right? So I made great things in my life, but the person, for instance, who is interviewing you or you're interacting with is doing hachi, or you just see this person is unwell and you're not reacting to it because you're in a job interview. So it's doesn't work that way. You can just basically maybe 15 minutes later, if it's the first time you're meeting, still react to what you're seeing. You can just say, oh, you know, your eyes is not looking very well, or you look under the weather today. React to who you are, what you see, what you sense. Then you create value, not for yourself only, but for the people around you as well. Yeah. And stay humble. Last but last need, and not least, stay humble. Entitlement was a great problem in the last years, as we all know, in the job market for those who also give jobs or does job interviews. Do not feel entitled because you've got skill sets. Feel entitled when you have got extraordinary personality traits. That you can hold on to the things. And if you just say, everybody, oh, please do not answer the answer, I'm so impatient. People or person sits in front of you, so cool. Oh, you know, what are your weaknesses? I'm very impatient. Who the hell believes that? So if you're really impatient, then you have to just tell a story why you're impatient. And if you're unorganized, just say it. Say, I tend to be unorganized in private things. I mess up I forget birthday parties and so on. However, at work, I work with the to-do lists that tell how you are. And be honest and stay humble. Thank you very much. Hello.
Thank you, Evelyn. Yeah, I mean, everyone is just enchanted by your presentation.
Thank you.
Indeed, I was recalling a lot of situations in my job interviews, in my project discussions, and I guess I did a lot of mistakes because I was always mentioning my KPIs, numbers, and I was very cool, not using emotions, because I thought, okay, if I am a woman, but I would like to show I am like a tough one. But probably this was exactly the mistake I was always making. So thank you very much.
A wonderful story about this. Again, a large company 5-6 years ago, French lady, petite, beautiful. 7 direct reporters, 2 of them are Italian and 3 of them are Spanish. One of them said to me, Evelyn, we do not want to have a male with breasts. Hardcore, isn't it? I mean, and in that moment, I understood the perception and the need the male would like to see female in job positions. And our biggest problem was that we imitated men. Why we did it that way? Because everybody did it that way. So now what we have to understand is that the female ability, this nose of ours, yeah, something is not going to work, or there's something wrong with this. This is the, this is the thing that the 21st century and the years beyond will need, because skill sets is nothing.
Yeah, I remember you was telling about this in our presentation in Paragon about thank God I am a woman. Yeah, exactly. So we're all happy to being a woman.